All right, welcome. Today, we're going to take a tour of something pretty incredible, the biological architecture that's right inside your own thigh. We're going to peel back the layers and really get a look at the blueprint that gives your leg all its amazing strength and dexterity. So let's dive right in. Have you ever really stopped to think about it? How your leg can just do all that stuff? Kicking a ball, running upstairs, even just sitting cross-legged? Well, it's not an accident. The secret is all in its brilliant design, a system where everything is working in perfect harmony. And when I see it's organized, I really mean it. Your thigh isn't just some random bundle of muscles and tissues. Nope, it's actually built more like a super well-designed building, with different zones, and each one is engineered for a very specific job. And if you were to look at a cross-section, this is what you'd see. See those divisions? Those walls are made of thick connective tissue, and they separate the thigh into three neat compartments: the anterior, the medial, and the posterior. It's a really clever layout because it groups all the muscles with similar jobs together. Now, the posterior part, that's where your hamstrings live. They help you bend your knee. But today, we're going to zero in on the other two, the anterior and medial compartments, to really understand power and stability. So let's start our tour right at the front. This is the anterior compartment. You can think of this as the absolute powerhouse for all your forward-facing, leg-straightening movements. It's basically the engine that powers you forward. And the undisputed star of the show right here is this massive muscle group, the quadriceps femoris. Quad means four, right? That's because it's actually four distinct muscles that all come together to form one incredibly powerful tendon. This is the big muscle you feel tightening up whenever you straighten your leg. So, what's its job description? Well, its main gig is extending the leg, straightening the knee. That's the raw force you use for kicking a soccer ball or jumping. But it's also absolutely crucial for everyday stuff, like giving you the power to just stand up from a chair. And it has the important job of keeping your kneecap, your patella, stable and right where it should be. But wait, the anterior compartment has another fascinating resident, the sartorius. And get this, it's the longest muscle in your entire body. It's wild. It gets its nickname, the tailor's muscle, from that classic cross-legged position tailors used to sit in. This long, kind of ribbon-like muscle is the only thing that lets you do that unique combo of flexing, abducting, and rotating your hip all at once. Pretty amazing, right? All right, let's move on to our next zone. We're heading to the inner thigh now, to explore the medial compartment. So if the anterior muscles were all about pushing forward, these muscles are all about pulling inward and keeping you stable. And here they are, the main players of your inner thigh, the adductor group. You've got the adductor longus, brevis, and magnus. And their big collective job is, well, adduction, bringing your leg back toward the center of your body. You know that motion you make when you squeeze a ball between your knees? That's them. But their job is so much more than just squeezing. They play this hugely important stabilizing role. When you're walking or running, these adductors are constantly firing to keep your pelvis level. I love this analogy. They act like the guy wires on a tent, providing just the right amount of tension to keep the whole structure steady and upright. For any athlete making a quick sidestep, that explosive stability, it's all coming from this group. Okay, so we've looked at all the muscle machinery, but what's actually powering it all? You gotta have an electrical grid, right? Well, each of these compartments has its own dedicated power line, a specific nerve that tells the muscles precisely what to do and when to do it. And check out how simple and elegant this wiring diagram is. The femoral nerve, it's the master of the anterior compartment, sending the signals for kicking and extending the leg. Meanwhile, the obturator nerve takes care of the medial compartment, orchestrating that inward squeeze for stability. One zone, one main job, one nerve. It's just a beautifully efficient design. Now for our final stop, we're visiting the spot that isn't a muscle, but it's arguably one of the most important landmarks in your entire leg. I want you to think of it less like a shape and more like Grand Central Station. It's the main hub for all the vital infrastructure running down to your leg. So picture this spot, right at the crease where your leg meets your torso. That little depression right there, that's it. That's the femoral triangle. It's a pretty small area, really, but what passes through it is absolutely critical for, well, your entire leg's ability to function. So what makes up the borders of this triangle? Well, it's defined by three structures. And guess what? We've already met two of them. At the top, you've got the inguinal ligament. On the inner side, there's the adductor longus muscle. And forming the outer boundary, It's our old friend, that long sartorius muscle. And this is why it's such a busy hub. Running right through this tiny space are the main power, fuel, and drainage lines for your whole leg: the femoral nerve, the femoral artery, and the femoral vein. Literally everything your leg needs to move, to feel, and to live passes through this one compact corridor. So, why does this matter so much? Well, because all these vital things are packed in so tightly and are so close to the surface, this spot is incredibly important in medicine. It's a key access point for doctors, but that also makes it a potential weak spot in our anatomy, which is why things like femoral hernias can happen right in this area. And this really brings us full circle, doesn't it? As the source material puts it so perfectly, the whole design of the thigh is not random at all. It's based on this really logical principle of grouping muscles by their location and their job, creating this elegant and super efficient system for movement. So, the next time you go for a walk, or run up the stairs, or kick a ball, just take a second to appreciate the incredible blueprint at work inside you. Your thigh really is a masterpiece of biological engineering, perfectly built for power and stability. So the only question left is, what are you going to power with it today?